Welcome to the Humans Aren't Real podcast. I'm Wolf Vision, and with me is Frylock. Today is a fun triple pack episode. We are going to be discussing the Cornetto Trilogy, which is Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. We'll be
Say Dawn of the Dead?
Shaun of the Dead.
Okay, I don't know. I heard Dawn of the Dead, but you probably did say Shaun of the Dead. Sorry.
No, Shaun of the Dead. And we're going to be starting off with Shaun of the Dead first.
Shaun of the Dead, a movie that first came out. When it first came out, I had no interest in. I have to give credit to my wife for
Okay.
being like, that's one of my favorite movies. I can't believe you haven't seen it. You have to watch it. And I watched it because of her. And I should have watched it when it came out.
Awesome. Good taste. So I am a
He gets a few misses.
big zombie movie fan.
Same. Romero is the zombie god.
Yes, he definitely created a genre, and it's a shame that it kind of got taken from him.
Yeah, I agree with you. I see exactly what you mean.
So we're gonna kind of talk about some of the points of the story of Shaun of the Dead and how it played out. So if you haven't seen any of these three movies, spoilers. We're just going to be talking about the whole thing.
Absolutely.
So story, Shaun of the Dead. Starts out, he's just a sales clerk.
He's an electric or like a Radio Shack type clerk.
Yeah.
Like a micro store. Yeah.
He's trying to sell stuff at the local electronic shop.
Yeah. I think I actually read something where they his character was like categorized as a TV salesman, and I was like, "What? Just because they sell TVs? Like, what are you talking about? TV sale? What's TV salesman?"
Yeah, when he's given like the presentation, a bunch of like refrigerators are behind him. So it's
Yeah.
it's not just
Yeah.
TVs.
Yeah, it's like electronics.
And
That's great.
so it starts out kind of normal. He has like a relationship that's kind of awkward with roommates involved.
Yeah. Pete.
Yeah, his good old buddy Ed and a few of the other characters. And then the world turns in on itself and zombies pop up and start eating people.
So the beginning of it, the way they start it, where it's basically like, they have like their little night out and they're hungover, and Shaun is just kind of walking. He's just kind of like walking through his life to go to this store to get this stuff, and like totally oblivious to what's going on. He doesn't even realize like that, it has hit the fan. Like serious stuff is going on. He's totally oblivious to it.
Right. We need to back step a little bit because when he first goes to the shop, everything's fine.
Yeah.
And it's in that order where the world's hunky dory, things are just going through the motions. And then when the zombie part happens, it's like everything's zombified, but he's not paying attention.
Yeah. Like there's bloody handprints on the door for the cooler that he opens. And
Yeah, he slips on the blood.
Yeah. You got red on you.
Yeah. One of the best catchphrases.
Oh, yeah. It's like a repeating joke for a while. It's so great.
Yes. There's a lot of them in the movie that they did. I'm trying to remember back when they released the trailer. There's a lot of the catchphrases in the trailer, like when they are coming out of the bar and it's like they're singing to each other and then the zombies in the background. I think that was in the trailer. Yeah.
I think it's great. Yeah. Me and my wife do that all the time. Start singing that song. Well, we used to. It's been a while because
Yeah,
we don't see each other anymore.
yeah. Well, then it kind of the whole like premise of the movie is a zombie comedy movie.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
at its core, it's a zombie movie, but it has these comedic events and timing where it's just hilarious. It's it has like this relationship that's trying to flounder. He's trying to save this relationship. She's done with it, and it's like end of the world. So now he's
Yeah,
like he still has feelings for her, so he wants to save her, and then the rest kind of like unfolds when you watch the movie of how are they going to try to survive? Where do they go to try to survive?
the Winchester.
The Winchester, which is where they were in the beginning of the movie, and she's like, I just don't want to be here. This isn't what I
Yeah,
wanted like our date to be.
yeah, and like the whole thing about like she's like, we're not back together type of deal, and he's like, oh, it's not about us.
Yeah, yeah.
It's about power in numbers. It's about safety. Like it's got nothing to
Yeah.
do with that.
Yeah, it's not about our relationship. And then he brings it up again later. She's like,
Yeah,
I thought it wasn't about our relationship. I thought, and he's like, oh, no, 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 no. It's safety. It's safety.
yeah, yeah. We got to be safe. I
Yeah,
got
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. So,
I do love too, like one of the little things I noticed just popped into my head. You said something a minute ago that made me
uh-huh.
think of it. But it's like when he first goes to her apartment to kind of like apologize, where he's got his mom's flowers and
Yeah,
he's talking about I'm gonna climb up the window if you don't let me up. I'm gonna climb up the window. And
yeah,
then like later on when the zombie apocalypse is happening and he's like, hey, I'm here to help, let me in, let me in. And he's like, hurry, and he ends up actually climbing up the window like he said he was going to do originally.
yeah.
And they thought like he was like, they do a lot of little things like that you don't really notice unless you've seen it. Like I've seen it quite a few times. There's quite a few movies I can say that about, and I've noticed a lot of little things like that they kind of like pre-shadowing, which I could get into even more in another one of their movies, but we'll get into that eventually. But they do a lot of that, like little nods to things that happened in the beginning of the movie as like their introduction, kind of replays itself later on in the actual movie.
Right, right.
Like
And it's
that was pretty awesome.
well shot, well directed. The writing is fantastic.
It's
So,
100% buyable. Like you buy their conversations.
oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You buy the friendship between these two guys and how he would interact with, her friends and how their friends would interact with each other. Like you totally buy all of it. It's phenomenal writing.
Very much so. Uh, with a good story like that, it's a zombie movie. So what do you think of the zombies in the movie compared to other zombie movies that you've seen?
Well, first of all, they're slow zombies, which
Yep, they
to
are.
me there is a difference. Like if you're a zombie, you're slow. These fast zombies are not zombies, they're infections because a zombie is a dead body that is slowly rotting over time. Eventually, you're going to be slower because you're rotting, your body is rotting.
Sure.
So if you're not dead, then like if you're dead and you're rotting away, you're going to get slow. You're not going to be fast.
Right.
So these fast zombies, those are viruses.
Mm,
Those are viruses.
mm,
And I like the fact that they're the Romero style rotting corpse zombies. and not the World War Z zombies, which
Oh, I
not,
like those ones.
I'm not crapping on it. I'm not crap. What is it? The one with the what's that guy's name? Ah, crap, I can't even think of it.
Which one?
Not 30. It's the British, not British, but zombie movie with the one 28 Days Later.
Okay, yeah.
Like even that, they're kind of like quick and like, yeah, those are good movies, but like it's just hard for me to imagine a zombie is a dead person. A dead person will eventually rot. You eventually rot, you're going to be like a pile of bones on the ground crawling around like in The Walking Dead and stuff like that you see. Not these crazy, just super fast. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like fast zombies. They're not zombies. They're infected.
I like fast
But
zombies. I like both. There's a
they have their
genre for
place.
both of them.
Yes, but again, the word zombie is hard for me. I can go with infected. If you're not slow, you're infected because, like I said, a zombie is just a rotting corpse.
Well,
But
Romero himself has made zombie movies where, like, the zombie was intelligent.
well, that makes more sense to me than like I can get you can make the argument that like, oh, they're fresh zombies, so they're not like started to decompose yet. Like, okay, I can get on board with that, but eventually I could see kind of the same thing. Eventually they will decompose, but I could see the same
Correct.
thing like
Correct.
they've just became a zombie, so they still have some of that intelligence in them. That makes more sense to me. So that I can be a little bit more lenient on, but
Well, if you're going to be lenient on that, then you're going to be lenient on the fast-running zombies that are just
ah,
ruthless creatures of speed.
like I said, I like them. I'm not complaining about them, but just using the word zombie, it hurts me. It hurts me to do. Like it chokes me up a little bit. I don't like
I
it.
I know it. I'm helping you expand your mind to fast zombies.
I don't know. I'm pretty stubborn.
Did you play Left 4 Dead?
Of course I did.
Okay, fast zombies. Fantastic. Okay, moving on.
It's a video game. I can stretch my imagination in a video game if it's fun. All right.
Okay. So fast zombies, you like it in a video game.
Anyways, I'm moving on.
Anyways,
I'm not
so
going to admit you're right.
you don't have to, right, everybody? So we have these zombies that are in the movie. Some of them, kind of are just like the biting, want to just eat zombies, and then you kind of have some of them that look like they have recognition, like Ed at the end,
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
or his mother when crap, that what's the roommate's name? David. David. When
Is
he
it
was
David?
talking to Shaun, is like, well, I think you did a good job. And his like the zombie mom was like, ah.
She wasn't a zombie for very long, though.
No, but he was just like, oh, mom, and she's just like looking at him and like, and then he said something like, shoot her. And then she's like, looks at him angry, and she's like,
Yeah.
gonna go attack him.
I mean, I could. That again is one of those like they're early on zombies. Now maybe Ed, that is a little bit more like it's obvious. What was it? 3 months later or something? It says,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he's locked up in the shed. Which
yeah,
again is like the foreshadowing. They say something. Pete says something to him about
yeah,
living in the shed or something like that. But
yeah,
anyways, but I can buy that sort of like still have that cognitive, I think is the word,
yeah.
um, type of thought in their brain because they've just died.
Okay.
Besides Ed, but even the stepdad when he kind of seems to know, like you said to me not too long ago, like there's nothing that's left in there of the man you love, and he turns the radio off.
Yeah.
Like those are all early on stages
Yeah.
of them turning into zombies. So again, it's easier for me to believe that it could still be kind of lingering in there.
Uh-huh. Okay. But yeah, the comedic timing of all those events just hilarious.
Yeah.
Especially like the radio one. He's like, "Can you turn the radio off?" before he dies. And then he dies and the music's like playing in the background. There's nothing of the man you loved in there. And then he shuts the radio off. Should we get
Yeah,
going?
he like obviously looks down and like turns it off and like looks up, and they're like, we better go."
Yeah. So, the ending for Shaun of the Dead. Did you enjoy how it ended?
Trying to think, like I absolutely did. Like I can't really think of anything I didn't like about it. Is there anything that I would have changed? I mean, I did think it was a little kind of weird how it's like all of a sudden they light the lighter and they see that there's a remote for the thing. Like, I guess it makes sense that they wouldn't know that, but at the same
Yeah,
time,
they're just panicking and rushing around and stuff.
yeah, but they also kind of make you feel like they know the owners because they're always there type of vibe, to where it's like it's not unbelievable that they've been in that basement. You know what I mean? Because they knew where the door was to get down there.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not unconceivable, but I can also understand, like you said, they are kind of panicking. But I mean, like I did like the fact that the army kind of steps in, like the army kind of just shows up and saves them.
Now that is very similar to Night of the Living Dead, right?
Yes.
You have them, they're distraught, and the army rolls up.
Yeah, but
But
Night of the Living Dead has a pretty big crazy twist at the very end.
yeah, which so stupid. So
I I,
stupid.
I loved it because I didn't see it coming.
I hated it.
Talking about how they shot the one dude because he was
Yeah.
black, right?
Well, he shot him in the window, like moving all slow and crap, and then he shot him. Yeah. So
I
stupid.
thought he came out on the porch and was actually talking to him.
No, he didn't talk to him at all. He was like moving all slow to the window, and they're like, "Oh, there's one more." It's like, bah.
Yeah, I might have to rewatch. It's been a little bit since I watched that, but I could have swore he walked out on the porch or something, and it was fairly obvious he wasn't a zombie, and the
No,
guy just blew him away.
every year I watch it, and they shot him.
I'm gonna have to watch it again because I know I
Okay, we'll
remember
watch
like
it.
yeah, there we go. Sounds good. I just remember like looking at that interaction, and I'm like, well, I can tell he's not a zombie, but of course I just watched the movie and I know he's not.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I love that movie. They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Yeah, they remade that movie, which was pretty neat. Like, Barbara doesn't stay at the house, she goes and leaves.
I've seen pretty much any of the Living Dead movies that have been made to where there's a lot of bad ones that they all get so confused. I'm sure I've seen it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I like that one. Where she's like, "I'm not going to stay here, I'm leaving." And then she leaves, she doesn't stay at the house.
I
And she
think I've
goes to
seen it.
like some uh like refugee camp, and then they come back to the house after some time to try and like save people or anybody that's left.
Okay.
It's a pretty interesting version of it.
Now that this actually is on my mind, it made me think about the ending of Shaun of the Dead, where he runs into that girl, like his friend that they run into, and like
Oh, the
they all,
copies.
yeah, like their groups are exactly the same, and there's the same amount of people.
Yeah.
She is actually the Simon Pegg's counterpart in the show Space that I've been telling you about,
Oh, okay.
and like that whole idea of like the copies, like you said, like the groups running into each other and them like acting similar, like that was phenomenal. That made me laugh so much every time I see it. it makes me just giggle.
But that's the thing too, is that meeting of telling her, "Oh, we're going to the Winchester," and she's going like, "The pub?" He's like, "Yeah,"
Yeah,
and she's like,
yeah.
"Well, good luck."
Okay.
She now knows where he is and brings the army to where he's at.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Huh?
So she ended
That
up saving him at the end with the army.
Yeah, nice. I never even really put two and two together, but that makes too much sense.
Yep.
Hmm. Let's watch it again.
We got so many movies to watch.
I know. Tell me about it.
Well, the next one is Hot Fuzz.
I will say right off the bat, this one doesn't get the credit it deserves
Yeah.
because I feel like Shaun of the Dead and The World's End are just phenomenal.
Uh-huh.
That it overshadows Hot Fuzz, but Hot Fuzz is truly just a great movie in general. It's a great action movie. The story is really, really good. The humor is phenomenal without being like flat out in your face funny. It's almost like there's just these real subtle, quick jokes that I feel like most people probably don't even really notice. Like the whole "How's your hand?
Yeah.
How's your hand? How's your hand?" Like it's over and over and over again. You kind of don't really notice it, but if you really sit and think about it, like it's hilarious. Very underrated in the Cornetto Trilogy, in my opinion.
I enjoy Hot Fuzz quite a bit. There there's only one real moment that was just gross, was the reporter with the piece of the church building falling on him.
You thought that was worse than the guy getting his bottom jaw
Impaled?
out
Yeah.
inside it?
Yeah. I
Really? You
thought
thought that
that
was worse?
yes, when I first watched it, I thought that one was worse.
Dude, that made me crack up. But the impalement in the guy's jaw, I have to like even watching it the other day that we watched it, I
Yeah.
couldn't look at it. I had to look away. It looks so real.
Yeah, then he's
And
trying to
it just
talk.
oh yeah. And I'm just thinking about all the weight that he's got coming and like, oh dude, like oh stop. My stomach is it's upset right now. That's man,
So,
gore in movies don't usually gross me out, but that one really grossed me out.
yeah. But the movie itself, the story of a cop that's doing so well in the big city, they send him off to the country.
I kick him out.
They kick him out because
You're
he
making
does
the rest
too
of us look
good
bad. Yeah.
and sends him to this like zero crime podunk out in the boonies town where like everybody knows each other, and all of a sudden like accidents start happening and people end up dead, and it's like more and
Well, that's
more
just an
people end
accident.
up
That always
dead.
happens.
Yeah, and then it's like, what's going on here? And then he
And how
uncovers the truth of the whole like corruption of the town.
and the one cop that actually does work there that's not just like sitting at the desk all day is like this action movie freak that's just like asking him absurd things all the time. Like, oh, you've been shot, you've been stabbed. Have you ever shot your gun in the air? And you know, how many times have you done this and done that? Have you been in a car chase? Like that's phenomenal, like storytelling, like total opposites. You have this like super serious cop, and then you have this other cop that's like he's all about the action and the car chases and stuff like that. And it's just like a perfect combination.
Yeah, like it's someone that's interested in what happened, but then it's like almost like a fan.
Yeah,
You
yeah, that's a good
know?
way to put it. Oh yeah.
because he becomes fanatic over him and is just like, "Oh, that's so amazing. What about this? I heard
Yeah,
there's a place in someone's head you could shoot that their head will pop." And it's like,
yeah.
no, that's just shooting somebody.
I do relate with him a little bit too much because some of the movie references he makes, I'm like, all right, I see that. Like, yeah, I get I get what he's going for there. Like, I would be asking those questions too.
And
Be like
then
me talking.
the like whole movie, I thought it was Skinner, like at the beginning part, because they
Yeah,
kept pushing Skinner.
yeah. It's almost like it's so obvious it has to be true.
Yeah, because he knows details and he knows who victims are, and it's like, well, he's just like there every time somebody dies. He's
Yeah,
talking about it like he knows. So what is actually going on?
I guess technically it kind of was him.
Yeah, it
So it's,
was.
I'm saying not that it wasn't him, but it wasn't just him.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's again, it's one of those they lean into it so much that you're like, there's no way it's really him. Like they're intentionally misleading me because it's so obvious. But then again, you get your little twist and you're like, oh, okay, I kind of get what was going on now.
yeah. It worked. It worked really well. I liked how they had that twist.
It it kind of it hits you. It kind of comes out of nowhere. Which,
Well,
if I
it
recall,
it makes
if I
sense
if
if
I
some.
recall the
Oh,
advertisement,
yeah.
they kind of advertised it like an action movie. And when that twist comes, it kind of completely flips, which I didn't mind, but it's definitely not what I expected. And it really came out of left field for me. But I'm okay with it. Like, I'm not complaining about it. I don't mean that in a negative way. I just did not see it coming at all.
So it made sense the build up because every time something would happen, he would just like cover it up. Here's ice cream. Here's treats. Like
Oh, yeah.
here's, oh, Danny did this and he had a little bit of a discretion of forgetting his helmet somewhere, or he
I'm talking about I
drove
was like
his
always
car
eating cake
drunk.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We have chocolate now.
He's like, "Sir, I don't think this is appropriate for driving under the influence." He's like, "Oh, no, no, no. This is for something else." He forgot his helmet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, Dad."
Oh, Nick Frost is great. Nick Frost and Simon Pegg is just what a pair. They do phenomenal together.
Yes, they do. That I wish they made more trilogies.
I was gonna say I wish they would keep going, but I don't know how many times can you catch lightning in a bottle, you know what I mean?
There's a lot of genres they could have done.
Yeah, but
Like they could have done a horror movie. That'd have been hilarious, the two of
well,
them.
I think they did do a monster movie. I don't know if it was both of them, but I think it was Simon Pegg. Oh crap. Let me see. I gotta look now because I know
Yeah.
it's gonna bother me. Uh, uh, actor. No. Uh, crap. I'm so bad at searching stuff online. It makes me mad. Uh,
Okay, well, while you search, we'll
yeah.
continue the topic of buddy cop movie and how it played out. Did you buy the dynamics between Simon Pegg and Nick Frost's character?
Oh, I definitely did. Like, I bought kind of like you said, like his obsession, how he kind of becomes obsessed with him, and he does seem like Simon Pegg's character. Oh gosh, why am I blanking on his name? Um,
Sergeant Angel.
Angle. But like, yeah, like you can tell he is irritated and frustrated with him, but he is kind of starting to get where he's coming from, and he's not really like, I guess, judging him. That's not the right word to use, but I guess that's what I would go with. So it's like it's totally buyable because like at first they're not like great, but he kind of warms up to him, and I buy it 100%.
Yeah, he definitely changes his perspective on that character, uh,
Yeah,
Danny, because is just he tries to be a good police officer, but he's a country bumpkin. So
yeah,
he's like,
yeah.
well, these are the things that you need to be doing. So, for example, like they pulled over that person that was speeding, and he was just taking notes. And then he's like, well, we can't take bribes from people we just rebuked. So he rips it up, and then his
Oh
dad
yeah,
comes out and
yeah.
it's like,
The
I need
tickets
you
or
guys to
whatever.
represent us at the ball.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, jeez.
Oh, I found it. I was listening to you, but it's called Slaughterhouse Rules.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
who's
sorry.
in it?
Simon Pegg definitely is.
Okay.
And I just okay, here we go. I'm not used to looking at IMDb on my computer. It's usually on my phone. Yeah, Nick
Hmm.
Frost is in it.
Oh, okay. So they're both in it.
So yeah, I don't know how big their roles are, but they're definitely in it. They're both in it. I feel like I watched it, but I don't know if I ever did watch. But yeah, it's like I think it was like yeah, horror, fantasy, action, teen comedy are like the categories. Thriller.
All right.
We'll have to add that to the list too.
Yeah, to watch eventually.
Yeah. All right,
So
sorry. I had to figure out the name of that. I'm sorry.
no, that's all right. So other things that were like character development were like he got stuck out in the rain with them, and they're just standing out there in the rain,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
Danny got upset with him because he's like, "It's true, you don't know when to shut off," and he like stomps out
Yeah.
off into the night, and it kind of makes Simon Pegg's character think about it.
I feel
But
like they did a lot of that with like their movie night where they kind of go to the bar and then he gets them to watch all these movies.
yeah,
I feel like that was like a big kind of like bonding moment, character development type thing to where you kind of buy their easing into each other type of thing they had going on.
yeah, then it's like, okay, they're both trying to bring something to the buddy cop relationship.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of dynamic of character development throughout the movie, which was awesome to watch.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, then they actually become buddy cops. And it's like they have real issues. So when they play out like comedy of a scene in another movie, it's like, oh, well, he's actually doesn't want to shoot because it's his dad, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah,
Point Break.
yeah.
Phenomenal. I love when they're watching it and he's got the remote in his hand and he's like looking up, like screaming like oh, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, he's like,
It's funny.
oh.
Yeah, and then he like looks at Simon Pegg kind of like, yeah, right, right. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's great. Honestly, I feel like those two guys just they're definitely friends. Like you can tell they just have chemistry.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like even if they had just like a crap script and nothing to work with, I feel like it would still be enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, they would just make it fun.
Yeah, like some people I've heard crap about Paul. I don't mind Paul. Paul's
Yeah,
all
Paul
right.
sucks.
Paul's okay. Paul's
Yeah,
not that bad for me. I'm okay
it
with
is
it.
a bad movie. It's because they introduced a third person into their dynamic.
I mean, the Peg and Frost dynamic is still just like it's enough for me that like I don't mind that movie. It's not great. It's
Oh, I
not something
mind
I
it.
watch regularly, but I don't mind it. It's
Oh, I
okay.
mind it so much. It interferes with that dynamic of that funniness by throwing in this third person where they have to like force themselves to interact with them.
I mean, it might not work as well, but it
It,
doesn't throw me off that much. I'm pretty okay with it.
I
I don't
watched
mind
it.
Seth Rogen, I guess. I don't know.
I watched it once. I was done with it.
Oh, I own it. I definitely own it. I've seen it
Oh,
more than once. I
no, no,
mean,
no, no. I wouldn't.
it's a Simon Pegg and Nick Frost movie. It doesn't matter if it's good. You buy it.
No, no, no. That's not how that
Come
works.
on. Shame. Shame on you, sir.
Oh, no, 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 no. You don't just throw a title of two people that are good and just make Paul and go, yeah, that's a good movie.
I'll buy anything that they do.
Ah, no. They are
So
very
far.
entertaining, but I
So far.
needed to just be them.
I will say that it's definitely better that way. But, they want to add something in. I'm usually okay with it. It doesn't distract me so much that I can't watch. But Hot Fuzz. We were talking about Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, and I think that's what works so well in that movie is because the two of them, even though there's like the other police officers, it's the two of them.
The Andes.
Yeah, then you got the Andes.
That's so great.
Then you have like, oh, she's a real girl. She has a bra. And then you have the dude that is he Irish? I don't
Oh,
know.
the guy that like mumbles and you can't
Yeah,
understand him.
yeah.
Yeah.
The the Boomhauer type character.
Boomhauer. Yeah. Yeah. Uh,
And then you have
and they
like
have.
the guy that questions. He's the supervisor, and he's like always questioning. Is this right?
Oh, dude, that's the guy that like every time something happens, he would ask Angel. He'd be like,
Yeah.
"What should we do?" And then he explains everything. He's like, "All right, yep, he's right." And then like at the end, he just pops up out of nowhere and he's like, "All right, so we're gonna go in there. We're gonna check everything out, and we're gonna clear the place." And then Angel's like, "Yeah, all right, sounds about good. Let's go." Oh, that was great. I love that. Like that makes me giggle so much every time because I'm like the whole
Character
time.
development. Character
Yeah,
development.
yeah. It's great.
It's
It's
so
great.
good.
And
Um,
again, the Andes with that meme where they just like leave the screen and then he pops back in. It's great.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The meme of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of like Thor. Thor did it in one of the Marvel movies too, where he's like, was he talking to uh, Star Lord? Why can't I think of his real name? But he like
Chris
leaves the
Pratt.
frame. Yeah, Chris Pratt. They like they're both coming back and forth inside the frame, and like Thor comes back in. Yeah, people know what I'm talking about. It's okay.
All right. I'm glad they do. Um,
They know.
so the
I'll
that
show you. I'll send it to you.
I think you're mixing up characters. Thor was
No,
Chris Hemsworth.
yes, but there
Star
is a
Lord,
scene.
Chris Pratt.
Yes, but there's a scene where like somebody's looking at them, and then like Thor goes out of screen, and then Chris Pratt goes out of screen,
Oh,
but then Thor
you're
pops back in screen.
talking about Love and Thunder?
Is that what it was from?
Oh, you.
That's a funny scene. That
No,
idea of like popping
no,
out and popping back in, that's funny.
no, no, no. They're just copying Hot Fuzz. No, no,
That's
no,
fine. It
no,
still made me laugh.
no, no, no. We'll leave
Hey,
that
there's
alone.
there's there's no greater form of flattery than imitation.
Yeah, and then you make Thor Love and Thunder.
I will say Love and Thunder was kind of garbage.
Oh, yeah, it's more than
Still.
garbage, but we're not talking about
Yeah,
garbage right
yeah,
now.
yeah. Christian Bale is just the worst ever. But anyways, yeah,
But
I digress.
I actually liked him as the God Killer.
No, no, we're not talking about that.
He was good, except they
Nope,
didn't
nope,
like portray him as dangerous. He was kind of just
no.
creepy.
The only movies he has ever been good in is American Psycho and The Machinist. Or no, at Equilibrium. Equilibrium was pretty cool, but
Yeah,
I
that
feel
was a
like
good one.
you could have put anybody in that role that was decent and it could have played. Because
Yeah,
like
yeah.
literally
He fit well with that movie.
the whole point was like you're not allowed to have emotions.
Yeah,
That's not hard to portray. So I mean, like that's not like a good actor thing to me. Like, oh, I need someone that can't portray emotions. I need a really good. No, you can get any idiot off the street to just be like blank in the face all the time. Like, you could put anybody in that movie; it would be great. But it is a good movie. He's got a couple of them, but I don't like him. Worst Batman ever.
okay, so the ending of Hot Fuzz. Did you enjoy it?
I mean, absolutely. Like, I love the fact that he wants to stay there. You know, like he stays in Stanford. What's it called?
Yeah,
The
that's
I think
Stanford.
it's Stanford or something. Yeah, like the fact that he stays there and like he's still like his partner and stuff, and how how what is it? Nick Frost's character, his dad was like the bad guy basically, but he ends up staying in this little town, taking over, and all these other cops that didn't really know what was going on, they all kind of come together,
Yeah,
and it's like that's his new like the new environment he wants to be in is in this area where there's not a lot of crime, and he's got all his friends and family versus like I've got to be a cop so he can finally shut off. I
yeah.
thought it was
But at the same time, they come back and like, we actually need you. This is like turning to garbage. Can you come
yeah,
back?
yeah, that was pretty funny. It's like,
Uh,
oh,
no.
you're making us look bad. Hey, can you come on back? Because now we have to actually do our jobs.
yeah.
That sounds familiar now, doesn't it?
Mm,
Anyway, so we were talking about Hot Fuzz.
yep. And now we're going to be talking about the world's end.
Oh yeah,
Story wise, we start out with nostalgic fellow trying to get back with his buddies to go on a drinking binge. That sum up about the first half of the movie.
I mean, for the most part, yeah, that is pretty much what it is.
And then it takes
Alcohol
a
wants to get to his
turn
buddies, and yeah,
uh, once he gets in a fight with one of the townspeople.
yeah, call them kids. He was a kid, one of the town kids.
One of the town robots. So he fights one
They're not
in
robots. They're
the
blanks.
restroom and figures out they're robots.
Blanks.
And they have this like blue blood inside of them. And they don't know who has been taken over. So it's kind of like a guess who of who's real and who's a robot. So
Blanks.
going through the movie, it kind of finishes, and then with some of them actually getting turned and or killed to become a robot.
Blanks.
And the reason Fry keeps saying blanks is because in the movie
Every time. Every
they
time.
they didn't want to call them robots because
Do you
one
know
of the
what robot
robots
means?
corrected them and said, "We're do you know what robot means?" And Fry, what does robot mean?
It means slave, and we're not slaves.
And what are they?
They're blanks.
Oh, they're blanks.
Yeah, they're blanks.
Blanks.
They're
So
blanks. I
this is
mean,
a discussion that we kind of had a little bit about.
what more do I need to explain? I don't know why you're confused right now. You should be on board with me here.
So here's the ending, right? I'm jumping the gun on this one. We're going to be discussing this. In the ending, the biggest entity, robot, says, "Oh, fine. We'll just leave then." And he leaves, and all the other robots just shut off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're so in sync that they all make the same decision at the same time. I don't know why that's hard to understand. What's going on here, Wolf? This is simple stuff.
So they're not
I,
slaves, are they?
no, no, but they're
Or
all just on the same page is all it is. They're just all so much on the same page
uh-huh.
that they just all made the same decision at the same time. It's a coincidence.
So I tricked you. Not all of them shut off. Some of them become dads. Some of them follow the king around in the desert. So
No, that's
the
not fair.
hive mind theory doesn't work if those are still running.
That's what I was saying with the fact that they weren't all the same.
They weren't
They
all slaves
no, they're blanks.
because they're robots.
They're blanks.
So we also discussed a little bit about how Terminator had this liquid metal robot. Do you agree?
Yeah, again,
Uh
like to be a robot, you need like an electrical current.
huh.
And what conducts electricity better than a liquid and a metal? Those like are the two things that conduct electricity better than anything else. So you
Okay.
combine them. Of course, there's electrical current going through it. It's definitely a robot.
So do you
Different thing.
think there's
Totally
a
different thing.
electrical current going through that blue goo?
No, it's like blood.
You
That's
think that's
that's
blood?
yeah, it's like blood. Barbie doll blood. Because like when you pop their heads off, it looks just like a Barbie doll when you pop its head off. It's Barbie doll blood.
So how is a Barbie doll moving?
They're blanks.
What's a blank?
They look like Barbie dolls.
Do they move?
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like a robot. Weird.
Nah. Nah, there's pulleys and stuff like that. It's not mechanical. You don't need it. It doesn't need to be mechanical to move. I mean, it happens sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
You know,
So
gears and pulleys.
gears and pulleys, yep. Or blue gel type substance.
Blood. Blue bloods.
Blue bloods. Yeah.
We've got ink on our hands.
He's a blink. She's a blink.
Oh. I really the world's end is I'm ready to say which one's better than the other ones because oh yeah, and I got to tell you, I my story about me and my wife almost getting into a fist fight when we had this same discussion.
Okay.
So I was discussing with her like with our already kind of knowing her answer. I'm like, of the Cornetto trilogy,
Uh-huh.
which one is the best?
Okay.
Her response, which pretty much knew what it was going to be,
Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
But I have to say, myself, I've really fallen in love with The World's End over Shaun of the Dead.
Uh-huh.
And I really love Shaun of the Dead, and they're all three great movies, so it's hard to put them in kind of categories. But like I'm sitting there. She's like, Shaun of the Dead, of course, like, duh. And
Uh-huh.
I'm like, I kind of gave her that little side eye. I was kind of like, really? I was like, just think about it for a second. Like, Hot Fuzz and The World's End are phenomenal movies. They're
Yeah.
really just good movies in general. Like, just
They're
think about
all
it for a second.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. And then she kind of looked at me, and I'm like, because The World's End was like the best. I absolutely love it. That the look in her eye, like she could have jumped across the room. Like, are you serious? She's like, get out of here. Like, you're just dumb. Like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Hmm.
I just saw the hate in her eyes. Like, you know better than to say that to me. But
Yeah.
she doesn't like sci-fi movies, and it's very sci-fi leaning, so I understand why she wouldn't like it as much as I do.
Yeah.
But personally, World's End, by far, like, just the pure fact that if you look, kind of like I was saying about Shaun of the Dead, kind of pre-shadowing, what's it called? Foreshadowing. Like I was saying about like Shaun of the Dead did that. The World's End does that to an extreme. In the
Yeah.
beginning of that movie, what, the first 10 minutes where he's kind of telling you the story of them doing the pub crawl as teenagers,
Yeah, and then
you
they
literally,
redo
yeah, you
it.
see the entire movie. You see the whole movie plays out in the first 10 minutes, and you don't even know it till you get done watching the movie.
Yeah.
And I think most people don't even know it. I've just seen it multiple times because I love it. And my weird obsession with things I love when it comes to movies is that I watch them over and over again.
Hmm.
But it is just literally, they show you everything that happens throughout the entire movie in that short little span in the introduction. And that to me is just phenomenal. I love it. Every time I see it, I'm like playing the movie out in my head as I'm watching the first 10 minutes because I'm like, yep, that's where they did that. That's where they end up doing that. That's where they do that. I love that. Like, that just shows so much thought behind what they were doing that is just, it's my favorite one of all of them just for that little chunk of the movie, that idea, that thought process that he had to do that.
Hmm.
It's one of my favorite things. I love it so much that
So what's your second
that
one?
100% Hot Fuzz, or
Okay.
Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead. I'm sorry.
Oh, Dawn of the Dead
Yeah,
is your number
yeah,
two.
Shaun of the Dead, and that's because I'm such a huge Romero fan, and there's so many nods to him.
Yeah.
There's one scene specifically where David actually gets ripped open.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like straight out of one of the Dead movies,
Yeah.
like almost like shot for shot. Like, it looks almost the same, and just all the nods that they're obviously doing for him. It's like, I love that. And this was like, zombie movies weren't a thing for a long time. Like, if you didn't watch zombie movies in the 80s or early 90s, there was a large portion of time where there weren't really any. And then all of a sudden, Shaun of the Dead and a bunch of these other ones kind of started hitting, kind of reintroduced it. And the fact that they made so many nods to the original creator of it, I mean, it's just, you can't ignore that. It makes it a phenomenal film. You could tell they really loved the source material.
Yeah. And it
But
was well made. And then your Hot Fuzz is number three, huh?
yeah, it's a shame because Hot Fuzz is, again, such an underrated movie in general. Just the action movie aspect of it, if you take the comedy and kind of the twist out of it, just the action movie stuff is it's just great. It's a lot of fun. It's really fun to watch. And then you add all that other random stuff into it. It just adds to it, and it just makes it so much more than it is. But I just really love The World's End so much more, and Shaun of the Dead is just close second. But they're all very close to each other, even though you got to put it 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
They're so close to each other.
My number three is Shaun of the Dead.
Really?
Yeah.
I expected that to be your number one, to be honest.
Yeah. My number
Now I'm
2 is
really
Hot
curious.
Fuzz,
Nice.
and my number 3 is World's End.
High
So,
five.
high five. Um,
I'm so proud of you right now.
it it changed. It was Dawn of the Dead, but there has been so many more zombie movies that I can appreciate now that it kind of pushed it back in the rating of those movies versus a buddy cop movie that there are not that many that are really well done. And Hot Fuzz is one of those. And the
Yeah.
same thing for like a sci-fi type of futuristic robot movie. There isn't many of those out there.
Blanks.
Blanks?
Blanks, yeah. Not robot, is blanks. I told you I was going to do it every time. You weren't going to get away with it this time if you not say something.
I know, I tried to slip it in there. But
See, I'm
the
paying attention
robots
sometimes.
were all over the
Blanks.
place in that movie, and it's such a joy, especially with the giant robot statues.
Yeah. It,
Wait,
it,
those aren't blanks? Those are robots
no, those are statues. That's a totally different thing.
that are moving?
Yeah, statues. I heard statues, not robots. So yeah, I'll say blanks, but I heard statues. You didn't say
Giant
robots.
statue robots.
Nah, statues. They're statues.
Giant
Doesn't count.
robots with
No,
lights.
if you break those statues open, there's nothing inside.
With
No,
lights.
that's like their eyes.
Yeah, that are lights.
I mean, you can
The,
call it a light, but I mean, it's just coming out of an eyeball, so it shines a little bit. I mean,
does it have
statues.
electricity?
I mean, theoretically, human light bulbs do, but they're not human light bulbs. They're alien eyeballs. It's kind of a
What are
different
you
story.
even talking about?
They're alien eyeballs.
So
They're
the
not robots.
robots in The World's End is fantastic.
Blanks, but they would be aliens, not robots. But they're
What
blanks.
what's an alien?
They're from another planet, so they're aliens.
I think we're gonna have to
But
look at their wiki and see what they call them.
they're blanks.
I'm pretty sure it says robot on the wiki.
I mean, it might say robot, but that's just not right.
Oh, okay. So
Wait. Follow the group of friends, led my head, brawl, I've been hold down, final scene, catching wire fence. Okay, it doesn't say robot or blank or anything about aliens, so we'll let that go for now. We'll let that go for now. We don't have enough time for that.
yeah, that's true. So we'll let people make their own judgments
They're blanks.
if they're robots or blanks or blue bloods or
Blanks. I
robots.
do like Blue Bloods though. It sounds good.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
But there is something here when you made me look over the Wikipedia here. I
Uh-huh.
did catch. I wanted to mention earlier. Uh, I've heard this a few times, and I always thought it was a little funny. But it says the origins of the silly joke during the promotion of Hot Fuzz, talking about the Cornetto Trilogy. It came from the fact that it is a hangover cure for Nick Frost's character in Shaun of the Dead, based on Wright's own experiences. So the whole reason why he eats the cornetto in the beginning of Shaun of the Dead was because he's hungover, and
Yeah,
that's what Edgar Wright used to do when he'd get hungover. Is he'd get a cornetto. So that's where it originated from, and that's why he kind of continued doing it. I just thought that was an interesting thing, interesting little fact that I wanted to put in there. And
which is
like I said,
funny
he made
because it's in all three of the movies.
yeah. World's End, I almost thought they weren't going to do it, but it is at the very end where it like flies up on the fence and then like
Yeah,
flies away.
Yep.
I almost thought like they weren't going to do it, but when he did it, I was like, oh yeah, I'm glad he saved it for the end.
And the same thing with the fence joke. Each of the films has their own like
Oh
version of
yeah,
the fence.
jumping the fence and like going through. Yeah, yeah. I heard rumors some time ago, years ago, that they were going to do something similar, but I don't think it's going to happen. But man, I would love it if they did. We're going to have to talk about Edgar Wright films one day because I'm a big fan of him as a writer and director. If I'm not mistaken, I think he was writer and director of Spaced. I can pull that up.
Okay. Well, that is a wrap on our discussion of the three movies. And if you haven't seen it in our ramblings, they're fantastic movies.
They're amazing. Watch them.
Yeah. And if you have a group of people to watch it with, that would make it even better.
Oh yeah. Apparently he directed Space. I don't see any writing credit, but I can't spend too much time looking at that. We're doing an outro.
That's right. Until next time, it's always good to see you. Bye for now.
See ya.